absolutely nothing but birds. I am so happy to have finally got out into the woods and started in my off-grid adventure, which has been a lot of fun, a lot of work. But today I wanted to tell you about my experience with Starlink Internet and what my thoughts are on it. And I will run a test on the Starlink overall. I was on the waiting list for over a year. I live in Missouri, and they just, they were waiting for it to get to the area, according to them. I don't know exactly how they were doing it. I believe it was like batch work, but I had to wait on my actual router and my satellite, which I will show you here in a minute. To clear up any kind of issues at all, we went about 30 feet up in a tree and built a platform so we could get it up above the tree line without having to take out so many trees. And actually, that's kind of what happened here in the background that you can see is we started taking out trees, trying to clear the canopy and everything. However, these trees needed to get taken out anyway for our permanent structure that we are building, because right now we have a tiny home and we haven't really decided if we're going to continue with that and turn this into a pond now or what. But either way, Starlink and living in the woods has been kind of a back and forth thing, and I'm not certain if it was because of the loss of satellites that I heard about with Starlink or what. I do want to believe that that is it, because the overall internet performance as far as streaming, like watching videos and whatnot, has been no issue. The internet works just fine so long as the weather is good and not bad. The minute you start getting any kind of real cloudy or overcast days, I shouldn't say overcast, but like if you get a storm, it just knocks it out. But that's typical with satellite from everything I've ever learned anyway. But as far as like performance goes, living in the woods in Missouri, and I'm approximately 15 to 20 miles from any sizable town, anything that you can go and get, like a Walmart or something like that. I'm 15 to 20 miles away at least, and I get enough internet signal out here on the good days, and even on the okay or not so okay days. But it's when you really get into the really bad weather that it starts getting a little bit weak. But even then, it doesn't drop out. And when I say it gets a little bit weak, it's more so the upload, which was something I was a little bit disappointed in, because we did before do a lot of live streams, and that kind of cut into that, and it wasn't very helpful. We had to find an alternative means of income off of that. So it was a fair amount upsetting, and I'm actually going to run a test for you and show you the numbers off of the Starlink app. And I believe that from looking at the app and everything, you're always going to load better off of phones. And I mean, that's probably kind of expected. And it's funny because my satellite is claiming that is obstructed right now, and there's absolutely nothing in the way. So I'm going to check the visibility and see what it's trying to tell me here, and see if I can show you what's going on. It's telling me that I need to expect delays every 5 minutes. But if you can see right here, I'm going to walk behind the camera and show you. It's saying that I'm going to expect delays every 5 minutes, and you can see right here as it comes around, those red spots are like leaves that get in the way, and it's not a huge thing. This is like, it's barely anything, but we're gonna have to go clip these leaves back now and see what happens. But you can see the satellite, and that shows you the orientation of the satellite and everything. But if we can go ahead here for a moment and run a speed test, I'll show you what I'm talking about. And it really shouldn't even be doing what it's doing. But the speed test this is what we're looking like right now, and it's probably going to continue to climb. Now we're going to go for overall on the advanced test, and this is actually what it's doing right now. And I am not that far from my router. I'm about, probably about 30 feet from my router, and I'm standing directly below my satellite. Now this upload right here, it honestly should be good enough for what we're doing and streaming, because that right there would be like the bare, well, I shouldn't say the bare minimum, but that would be sufficient for all of our programs and hardware and software to run off of. But it's just, for some reason, it's not pulling it, and it doesn't make any sense. I don't know if we need to get to a different router and bypass the router, which we do have all the add-ons and everything in order to do this. So maybe we should just try that, because I have heard stories that you can hook in a different router and get way better performance. But that, it is what it is right there, and it runs multiple different tests. But the upload has been okay. Sorry, my nose is running here. The upload has been okay, and it should be working for any of our programming and stuff like that, and any of the servers that we go through. But it just will not allow us to live stream. I've seen other people that have had no issues with it on live stream at all. In fact, I've watched some of the live streams. While they weren't the greatest, they still worked, and they were on roaming as well. So that I don't know. I think it's just kind of like the area that you're in and whether or not they have you under satellites and everything. So sorry, I'm trying to mess with this app here again and see, because it's actually locating where my router is. But it says I have like okay signal where I'm at. But the all in all with it, not to drag this out and just make it a stupid video, but you know, in the Ozarks, in Missouri, in the woods, internet doing what it does. Again, a little disappointed with the fact that it doesn't want to do upload very well, because I really needed that. Now, if you're just uploading a video and you don't care to take some time, yes, it's not a problem. But if you're trying to live stream, not going to work. If you're doing any kind of like massive downloads, yeah, they work, and they do work, at a fairly decent pace. I'm not going to say we're going back to like dial-up or anything like that, but in some cases, depending on the weather, it's not far off. So, and I actually added the roaming package that came out like 2 days before I found out about it, and I added that on. So now the overall bill per month is $135. And again, for living out in the woods and being completely off grid, minus the internet, obviously, it's kind of hard to argue with. And there aren't too many providers that can offer the service, because I have had different Wi-Fi services that operated off of cellular, and that kind of sucks out here. Like my phone service doesn't even work. I do a lot of Wi-Fi calling and stuff like that as is. So Starlink, my opinion, is it worth it? It may or may not be. You need to check your area, what is available to you, and what the pricing is and what you actually get. Now, I have some friends that live about 2 miles up the hill through the woods from me, and they have a different company. I do believe it is Viasat that they have, and their internet is no better, and in fact, I do believe it is worse from what I've seen. They can do practically the same things I can do, but when they get hit with storms, they lose everything, and I can at least keep going. And again, their upload is way worse. But again, the Starlink, You know, I'm not upset with it. I've obviously kept it and still using it, and not because of lack of option. I mean, while there is a lack of option, I'd still, you know, I'd stick with Starlink over the other stuff. That and their equipment is actually very well built from what I can see, and everything. And I don't really know what else to say about it aside from that. I've run all the tests on it and really checked it out. The equipment is good. If you don't have it yet, you're probably going to end up on a waiting list. I know they just came out with like the premium or premier Starlink. I am considering upgrading to that because it seems like you're more of like a preferred customer and may get some better signal. I'm definitely interested in it and at least seeing what it has to offer. But you saw my numbers out here in the Ozarks, way away from, well, I shouldn't say way away from civilization, but I'm far enough out here to make me happy and, you know, keep my peace and sanity being out here in the woods. This is absolutely beautiful. And Starlink, it works for me. It does everything that I want it to do within reason. And I'm sure it's going to get better because it's a new deal and, you know, they're working out details. But either way, that's my opinion on Starlink and everything. My satellite's up in the air. Apparently I need to trim some trees, but if you're interested in it, it does work for me around here. And I'm in the woods. It's great for off-grid in my opinion. So that's my opinion. Thanks for watching. And I'll find something else for you.